friends, it's Sunny B, future FMP, and I'm back with another podcast episode 2. And today I'll be talking all about the last few weeks of my most recent course that I just completed, which was Primary Care of the Childbearing and Child Rearing Family in R602. So in the previous video, I kind of talked about assignments that were coming up and all of that. What I'll say overall about this class, I mentioned previously that it was heavily focused in pediatrics, which I was not completely expecting because they did recommend that we take our pediatrics practicum in our 603, which is coming up starting next week. So the final exam was a lot easier than the midterm. I ended up making a 91 on that, so yay, and ended up with a B in the class based on the midterm score. So I wasn't able to make an A, which is fine. You know, B's get degrees as well. A bit of advice for this class. It depends on the instructor that you have. And I don't know how much autonomy they have in terms of adding little extra things for you to do in your course syllabus. Long story short, for every class in the practicum, since I've been doing my clinicals, we've added assignments or different uploads to what's called an e-portfolio. And basically what it is a collection of the work that you've done within your practicum courses. So from the very first clinical course that you complete, when you start your clinical rotations, you'll collectively add different assignments chosen by your professor to upload to this collective e-portfolio. So in R602, there were 3 assignments that we were to upload as per usual in the previous classes, and then you provide a link to your portfolio so that your classmates and even your professor can click on that link and see that you've added these artifacts, is what it's called, course artifacts from each course. So I completed all of the steps 1 through 4, all of the instructions verbatim to the T like before. I mean, it's a low weighted assignment. It's only 1% of your overall grade. So it's 10 points out of 1,000. So it's not really a big deal, but for someone who is on the cusp of passing, it could really cause them a course failure. And thankfully, that's not me. That wasn't the case for me at all. But because of the score that I received on this particular e-portfolio, which was a 0 out of 10, and I'll tell you why in just a second. But, you know, I saw that it dropped I almost made a B minus, you know, and anyway, all of these little grades matter. All of the points that you can get, you want to make sure. So that's usually a guaranteed 10 points. But this particular professor required that we upload and submit a screenshot or a copy and paste of the rubric, which was provided. Now, that has not been a requirement in any previous course at all. And she said, oh, it's all or nothing. So you get 0 points for this because you didn't submit the rubric. And I'm like, where does it say do that in the instructions? It did not say that we had to upload the rubric in the instructions. So I don't know if that's her personal preference for someone to do that, but I sent an email to let her know whoever came up with this last minute rule, that's kind of, in my opinion, a sneaky way or a dirty way to sneak one in there, you know, and it could have caused someone to fail. You know, I followed all the instructions to the T as always, and that should have been an easy 10 points, but I got a 0 on it. Thankfully, it did not affect my grade, my letter grade at the end of it. So I said all that to say, watch for those small foxes, these little things that can trip you up in your program. Make sure you read every single thing, because in the actual rubric itself, it did say student must upload the rubric. It has never said that in a previous class. And then I've already previewed my upcoming course, and it too does not say, even on the rubric, I clicked on it, it did not say upload the rubric. It gives 5 steps for you to complete, to which assignments or artifacts they want you to add to the link for this particular course. You do all of those steps, provide the link just like before, and there's nothing in the verbiage at all. And I'm going to take a screenshot of it just in case it changes somehow before it's all over, if you know what I'm saying. So I'm going to go ahead and capture that now because it does not give any instructions to add it to or to upload that as part of the assignment in order to get your full 10 points. Anyway, I'm off my soapbox about that. I was not happy about it. I sent an email strongly expressing how unhappy I was about that. I wasn't disrespectful or what have you. And I did say, have a great break, because we just had what they consider our quote unquote summer break, which was 1 week long. And what I'll say about my break is that it didn't really feel like a break much, but here we are, onward and upward. And I just made sure that I am refreshed and ready. I'll make sure that I have rested well, but I do want to get a head start on these assignments, because for the NR 603 course, we have what's called a CEA exam. If you listen to my previous video for NR 511, I talked about, or maybe it was 509, I don't remember. It was 511 for sure. The first clinical rotation course that we did, or practicum is what they call it. So this test, we had to do one in that class, which was the first one, and one in this one as well. And it's worth 30% of your grade, 300 points out of 1,000. And there's no way to prepare for it, no way to study for it. It's an assessment of your learning so far within your entire program, which is, I can understand that they want to see where you are and what you've learned and retained. And for those who make less than 80%, they have remediation modules for you to complete by week 7, the end of week 7 or week 8. I don't remember. I think it's week 8. But you have the entire course to work on these remediation modules, and they are very time consuming from what I understand. Thankfully, in the first course, I passed. I made an 84 on that assessment, and I did not have to do any of the remediation modules, but they were still available for people if you wanted to use them for practice or just for relearning. And the same thing will apply for this class. Like, those remediation modules will have to be completed, and by week 8, I believe. But the score that you make on that CEA is the score that you'll receive, period. It won't change, but you still have to make sure that to complete those modules, for course completion. Another thing I've noticed when I preview the class, because this is also preview week, it's our break, but they give us like a week to kind of look through and see what's ahead. And we will not have a final exam for this class, which is, that's cool. I'm not complaining. But the CEA is a huge exam, so I guess it's taking the place of the final as well. Week 1 does not look extremely assignment heavy. We will be doing a contrast and compare assignment for 2 disease processes or chronic issues where in neurological disorders this in week 1. And so you're assigned 2 disorders to compare and contrast and talk about how they are alike and how they differ in clinical presentation and what would make you choose one over the other. So that seems like a pretty cool assignment that we'll be doing. Of course, will also start our clinical hours. And like in previous practicum courses, the requirement is a 125 patient-facing hours. And since I did not do pediatrics in 602, I've accumulated over the course of my practicum about 15 and some hours of pediatrics client care. And so I have to complete a total of 125. And so I will be doing the rest of my, this is my last opportunity, I think, to do pediatrics, because the next class will be the capstone or what have you, the actual practicum. And they require, I think I'm required to be finished with those pediatrics hours before the end of this class. So I'll be doing that. And I'll also have a backup practicum site, which I highly recommend. if you decide to do this for sure, because sometimes schedules don't align and you need a plan B. So I have that worked in as well. You might hear some noise in the background. I'm in my office at home, and it's a shared office with my husband who's clicking on his computer, and his phone is making some noise, but no worries. Um, that's why I love this podcast option, because I'm able to just kind of talk and be authentic without worrying about the aesthetics, right? And I hope you're liking this type of way to deliver information so far, because it's lightweight. I'm just kind of talking with you. Let's see what else. If there are any questions that you have about the FNP program with the school that I attend or with any school, please make sure to post those in the chat. I see that I have a few new subscribers. Thank you so much for subscribing to my channel. I'm not a YouTuber. I'm not a professional YouTuber or anything like that. I just am sharing my personal journey as I work toward becoming a family nurse practitioner. And I have some exciting things that I am going to be implementing once I earn my certification. Oh, I may have mentioned this before, I don't remember, but I have already secured my collaborating physician, who is the physician. She's an OBGYN that I worked with in my NR 602 course. She's amazing. And she will be joining with me in a couple of business ventures, but also being my collaborating physician for my FNP practice. So I'm excited about that. She's awesome. What else is new? Oh, every class I've noticed that something new, they update things. There's always a new something going on. And we used to have the entire week to do midterm exams and final exams or quizzes and all of that. They have shortened that window from Wednesday morning, Wednesday, like 12:01, like right at just after midnight on Wednesday, to Friday at 11:59. So we have 3 days. You can take it anytime on Wednesday, anytime on Thursday, or anytime on Friday up to 11:59 to do your exams and so forth. So, it's whatever. Either way, it's proctored. I'm in a few groups on Facebook for these classes, and I've seen complaints, people saying, oh, what about work schedules? Which is true, because everybody might not be available within that window. So they're just going to have to make some adjustments, because that's what the rule is. And one thing I've learned is that I'm just ready to finish. Like when you're in a program, you got to go by the people's rules and their little nuances, and, upload a rubric to a person that provided the rubric to you. So whatever. Long story short, just read the fine print, and I will definitely make sure to do that going forward. And I try to at least find a lesson in that, because I've never made a zero on an assignment. So I'll just treat it like, the importance of reading every single line, or all these little knickknacks and paddywhacks, I call them, is that, in the clinical setting, that could be an important detail that relating to patient care, that if it's missed, then it could have caused an adverse event. So take it with a grain of salt. But I did go on a little bit of a rant, and I'm over it now. Onward and upward. So anyway, I could go on and on with all this chatter, but I just wanted to provide a quick update and let you know that I successfully completed NR 602 and on to 603, and I will chime in throughout as much as I can. And thank you so much for listening, and I'll talk with you in the next podcast episode. Take care.